Today I want to talk to you about Todo por sobrevivir. And when I talk to you about that book, I am going to mention LIBRO, which is also part of, most of these books are part of an informational set. And this informational set you can buy for guided reading, so it goes in your book room, which I'd strongly encourage you to do, because these conversations with these books, you can have some really amazing strategy conversations. So today's book, are you ready to get started and learning about that? Like I said, these are books that are part of a informational guided reading set, and they're targeted towards grades 3 through 5, and I'll give you some information about why that reading level is identified here. This book, Todo por sobrevivir, I don't think I've said it yet, so I'll say it now. It is about plant adaptation. It's an incredible book that shares about how plants adapt to different environments. And it does it so beautifully because it gives you 7 different environments. This book was originally published in Chile, and if you're not familiar with the country of Chile, it is an incredibly diverse country because, well, it's in the back, because it is so incredibly long, right? And because it is so long, it has so many different environments in it. And so it's such a rich resource from us to learn from. It has one of the driest places in the world, the Desierto de Atacama, I can't even say it in English, Atacama Desert, all the way down to Patagonia and icebergs, which I've never seen, but my mom and dad saw the coolest ones. So when they were there. So really diverse environment. So it's an incredible book for us to learn about plant adaptation because it shares all 7 different environments from Chile, and then it goes into the plants. Also, something really great about this book that I love is, if you can't see here on this front page, this is El Profesor Vivaldi. I want to say Valdivioso because that was one of my professors in Chile. Ooh, he was tough. But it's Profesor Vivaldi and su mascota Adaptus, or his little pet dog Adaptus, which of course is a play on words, of course. And actually, if you've ever seen, I have a 3-year-old, so I watch cartoons all the time. If you've ever seen Wild Kratts, it kind of reminds me of that because there's a little bit of dialogue of them, but then there's also informational text. Something that I will point out to you here in the index, is that it talks about different animals. When it talks on page 24, it discusses plantas en el bosque templados, and in this section it also talks about the alerce tree. And so one of the books that is featured also from Booksellsir is this book about El Alerce. I have showed this book before. It's a really, really comprehensive book about a specific kind of tree. And next week, Thursday, so I'll do another book talk Monday. Next week, Thursday, I'll actually do a special book talk about the bridge. And so this is an incredible book to bridge to the U.S. tree, the sequoia, because they're very similar trees. It's a great way of not having redundant learning, but complementary learning, and also to really deepen our students' learning. So that was something I wanted to point out about the indice. I'm just going to show you the first section and then I'll page through the rest of it, but I want to dig in deep into the first section. And the first section are plantas en el desierto. Because in Chile, it's the top of Chile begins with the desert, and that's where the Atacama is in the northern parts. And it actually starts with a dialogue. It says, should I do my best dog voice? Profesor Vivaldi, me estoy muriendo de calor. Adaptus, esto es el desierto. Es muy caloroso de día y prácticamente no llueve nunca. Pero en la noche prepárate porque puede hacer mucho frío. Son pocos los que se atreven a internarse en estos parajes. Nosotros lo haremos para encontrar la solución de este dilema. ¿Cómo pueden aguantar aquí las plantas? It's an amazing question to set up the whole reading. And Profesor Vivaldi y Adaptus, they do an amazing job modeling that questioning. And so there's a question posed, and then the students can investigate it throughout the rest of this section, which is really incredible. So I'll just take a moment to kind of page through, and you can see the diversity of the, not only are there illustrations, like last week's book I showed you was all illustrations, there's illustrations in combination with actual photos. And sorry, at the end of each section, it gives vistas recomendadas. So I would strongly encourage you to use this opportunity. Vistas recomendadas, there's specific places about Chile, but this is a great opportunity for you to make the connection to vistas recomendadas. Where are the deserts in the United States? Where are the deserts in the world that are really important for us to connect to, right? And use a map. So then it goes to semi-desiertos. Okay, good. This is the section I want to get to. So when I was reviewing the book for the first time, before I bring books into Books Del Sur's collection, I review them and I have other people review them. And one of the things that struck me about this book was this word. It's plantas en el bosque matorral y esclerófilo. And I looked it up again today just so I could get it right. So esclerófilo is a 5-syllable word. You can hear me stumbling over that. And it's a palabra. Es also a it's also a book that the word is estrújula, 5-syllable word. This is one of those words that really make it different from being a reading level book for kindergarten, first grade, to really being a 4 or 5 third grade book, right? Third grade is pushing it, second semester maybe, and that's when you really get into estrújulas, all of the different types of words. So really wanted to point that out to you. It's a great example of esclerófilo. So syllables, but also a blend in there. So, okay. There's my grammar nerd for you. Going to continue on to show you just the illustrations, and you can still see that el profesor y adaptus están en las palabras, en las páginas. And although this is Chile, this is everywhere. This is the United States. When I lived in Chile, people would ask me like, "Oh, what's Santiago like?" And I'd be like, "Well, it's kind of like Portland, Oregon." And or Seattle, and the weather was really similar. We'd have snow, sort of, but not very often. Goes all the way to plantas de la costa, and hasta plantas in la cordillera. Cordillera, I think, is a word that is a great word for regionalisms to really discuss cordillera versus montañas versus. And that's where I fall apart. Cordillera, montañas. So that's a great word for you guys to have a conversation around that as well, right? Put it up on your regionalism poster that's in your room. Okay, and then in the end, here's the map, and in the end, it gives you vistas recomendadas. So this, again, is an opportunity for you to summarize where are the places that we want to focus on. Especially, I know that if you're hitting perhaps state social studies standards, you really want to think about this piece of relating it to the U.S. curriculum. But this is a great book, right? There's lots of things you can do with this book. You can use it for your read aloud. And please, please, please think about, this is a read aloud book for a week, maybe 2, right? Just read a great article about repetition reading and how important it is for us to repeat our stories and for kids to hear them over and over. And you know, when they're little, they want you to read the same book over and over and over. It's because they're learning those patterns. They're getting used to the sound and the rhythms, and every time they read it, they're going to learn something new. So this is the book Todo por sobrevivir. You can check it out in our online store, www.booksdelsur.org. I hope you open a book today and open yourself up to another world.